All right, good evening. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to open the January 13th, 2022 meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. First item is attendance. Roll call. Let's see. Frank.
Present.
Silvana.
Here.
Teresa.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
Jimmy.
Here.
And I am present. All right, we have meeting minutes from December 9th. Any questions or revisions regarding those minutes?
One minor comment. The header says November 18th. Everything else looks fine.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else have anything? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve with that revision?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Ken,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yep.
Frank.
Yep.
Savannah,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I also approve. All right, we do have some hearings that have been continued. So I'll let everybody know what those are. We've got Edgewater Office Park, that's DEP 313611. That is postponed until February 10th. We also have 109 Farm Street, postponed to January 27th. 200 to 400 Corner Power Parkway, postponed to January 27th. Lake Street, which is 313607. That's also postponed to January 27th. So again, we have Edgewater Park, 109 Farm, 200, 400 Corner Power, and Lake Street Foundry Development, all continued or moved to the 27th, or in Edgewater's case, February 10th. All right, first up is 14 Sunset Boulevard. Discuss an enforcement order.
Okay, I'll take that, Bob.
Okay,
Can you hear
Elaine?
me?
We
Okay.
can.
So, all right, 14 Sunset. So, Tom Mullen and the attorney for the property owners will be in the next Conservation Commission meeting, but in the meantime, Rebecca thought that you might like to get an update on it. So she asked me to just make sure that everybody's updated on where we are so far. So I don't remember how many of you were around when this started, but it started out as an enforcement order for 14 Sunset Road. We got in a complaint from the neighbor across the river who lives in Linfield that this property owner was filling in the rear of his property, and being on the Saugus River, it was flooding him out. So the Conservation Commission issued an enforcement order. There was a site visit on October 21st. And on October 21st, I was there, Rebecca was there. The agent for the Linfield Conservation Commission was there. The property owner's applicant, Michael DeRosa of DeRosa Environmental, the property owners across the street, across the river, and the father of the property owner. So the father of the property owner and the former property owner, he sold the property to his son, claimed that no fill had ever been put on the site since he or his son lived there. So DeRosa Environmental, who was hired by the property owner, had been called in and prepared a plan and a report in 2020, which included soil borings and evidence of 6 to 10 inches of fill in the backyard. The report stated that hydric soil had been found, and it appears that under the underfill, and that it appears that there was a wetland in that area previously. The area would also include floodplain. It included a recommendation for a restoration plan. And I have a copy of that, which I will put in your information packages for the next meeting. In addition to the report regarding the wetland fill, when we were out on the site, we saw an approximate 2-foot-high dike had been constructed all along the riverbank. So there were various surveyed plans that had been floating around, none of which really were all that useful. They were old. I didn't find them particularly accurate. And certainly the information that was on them was not as accurate as the report that you will be getting a copy of soon and the plan that goes with it. So out there, once everybody got out there on the property, it appeared that the property owner and the complaining abutter across the river seemed inclined to settle the matter if the dike were to be removed. So any work on the property that's a result, and by the way, this situation was referred to town council, who filed a claim in Superior Court. So any settlement among the parties would require a permit from the Conservation Commission, who would have some opinion as to leaving the fill in place, a wetland restoration plan, removing the dike, any number of issues that are pertinent to this problem. So there's where we stand now. At the next meeting, Rebecca has scheduled Tom Mullen plus the attorney for the property owner to come in, have some discussion about this, and given the fact that the Conservation Commission is a party to all of this, to get the Conservation Commission's opinion about what needs to be done in addition to what the parties will settle for before he goes back to Superior Court. And
Elaine.
that brings us up to date.
Oh, Elaine, can you tell me
Yes.
who are the parties when you say the parties? Who
The
would have to-
parties are the abutter across the river
Okay,
and the property owner.
And Elaine, what kind of complaint did Tom Mullen file in Superior Court?
Hold on, I have the complaint here. Okay, so this is the answer to the complaint. Hold on. Okay, we are named as the defendants. Hold on, I'm looking at different filings. Let me dig deeper into the file. Okay, this is a response to, this must be the response to the enforcement order, because it's Rosenfeld, who are the plaintiffs, who are the property owners, versus Town of Wakefield Conservation Commission. The plaintiffs have started a lawsuit against you. Let's see.
They sued the Conservation Commission?
wait, they
I
sued
think they
us?
sued the Conservation
Yeah, and enforcement
Commission.
order?
Here it is, here
Yeah,
it is.
that-
Here, I
wow.
finally found the dot. Yeah, they sued us. Okay.
Man
Hereby,
bites
now
dog.
come the plaintiffs, Mark Rosenfeld and Melanie Rosenfeld, who hereby file the within complaint seeking relief in nature of certiorari with respect to an enforcement order issued on October 10th, 2019 by the Wakefield Conservation Commission, as well as related declaratory and injunctive relief.
So,
It
when
says
was
that
that
they are
complaint?
property owners, that the Conservation Commission, as alleged, having violated certain provisions of the Wetlands Protection
Wow.
Act. Let's see.
Elaine,
Names
when was
all
that
of you as
complaint
defendants. Let's see.
Can we
I'm
can we
trying to
circle
get
back
to, there's a
and
lot
quickly-
of just basic facts here.
I'd like to look at that complaint, please.
I can scan it and send it to you, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, based on the findings, the enforcement order demands that the property owner, his agents, permittees, all others immediately cease and desist from any activity affecting the buffer zone or resource areas. And then it required that the property owner had to provide written confirmation of intent to comply with the Conservation Commission's enforcement order. Provide a restoration plan, including a survey topographic plan, narrative, site description, grading plans, revegetation plans, erosion control plans, long-term monitoring plan. Here we go. The Rosenfelds are not engaged in any alteration by filling, vegetation removal, or other means of the resource areas referenced in the enforcement order. So, and then they talked about, let's see, actions and prosecutions under this chapter shall, unless otherwise expressly provided, be commenced within 2 years after the time when the cause of action accrued or the offense committed. So basically what they are saying is they have never filled, and they are suing, they are suing the Conservation Commission, asking them to withdraw, or asking the Superior Court to overrule the enforcement order.
And did Tom Mullen file an answer?
Yes, there are answers in here. I can send them as well.
Please do.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, there are answers from Tom Mullen. And yep. And there are other documents, all of which I will put in a packet. I can either send them out tomorrow while I'm in the office, or you can have them as part of your information packet for the next meeting. Which would you prefer?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
You want some
So I'll
good-
send all of that out, but that's the gist of the litigation. And at this point, the parties seem eager to settle when I was out there. And I think what Tom and the attorney for the property owners are looking for is to settle, and they need the Conservation Commission to be part of that settlement.
Well, since we're
Elaine, with all
opposed to the lawsuit, I would say yes, we definitely need us.
Yes. And Elaine, with all due respect, the satisfaction of the guy across the river is all fine and good, but
Who cares?
they're not the ones who are trying to enforce the Wetlands Protection Act, you know.
Right.
So I think that they're sad. Well, I'm pleased that they're satisfied, but that doesn't end anything.
No, it doesn't, but they're in there, they are involved, and they are involved. So
Hey,
I'll send all this out. I think that we seem to be moving forward to a settlement. And
Elaine, is any
Tom
of
is
this
going to come in
violation?
next week. Tom is going to come in next meeting and try and get the Conservation Commission's input on a settlement of the matter.
Elaine, is any of this project or this violation in Linfield, or is it all Wakefield?
I believe it's if the Saugus River is the boundary between the two towns, it's all in Wakefield.
Elaine, in advance of the meeting, I know Tom will know this, but it would be of some interest to me to, have a clear understanding of what we could discuss in executive session. We've been sued, and we have a right to have, private conversations with our lawyer.
Yeah, we
about-
will end up going executive session with Tom.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, and just so that I understand, Bob, do you know sort of mechanically how that works in the context of a Zoom meeting, a Zoom call? I'm just trying to understand what is it?
Yeah,
just so we don't fumble around. I don't
Right,
wanna-
I believe what I need to do is basically park everybody else that's not on the commission. Like there's a way to put them in a waiting room type of thing.
Okay.
and to do that. And yeah, you put them in a waiting room and then you release them from the waiting room when you exit.
Okay, okay. I anticipate that that's gonna happen, and I just
Yeah.
wanted that we don't have a, that, you know, somehow that, you know, we don't have, just a housekeeping issue trying to figure out, because I don't think, to my knowledge, we've never tried to do this before on a online
Be a
call.
first.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to keep the recording feature on as well. I'm not sure if that,
Well, or that's certainly that recording. How do we ensure that that
There's-
recording doesn't become made public, you know?
We
because
don't have a
that's-
way, to turn that off without exiting the meeting.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? I don't
There's no way
understand.
to turn the recording off without exiting or ending the meeting.
But, okay, and so I'll just ask the next question then. How do we, how does someone who, are the recordings available to the public?
They
Mechanically?
can't be until it's released by the commission. So there's probably a way to shut off the recording so the public can't view it. But I'm sure Sherry knows how to do that.
Okay, so can we just check on that? I just want to make, I mean, I'm just anticipating that. I don't want to, because I don't want to have a private meeting and then have it, you know, available, you know, to someone call town hall and get it.
It might have to be set up as a separate meeting. I'll
Yeah,
email Sherry and find out.
That's what I was thinking, Judy, this a separate
Yeah,
invitation.
Yeah,
right.
there's some precedent for doing this, and we just gotta, and I just don't want to have to, you know, have the same discussion in 2 weeks, and we know we're gonna want to use it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Peter.
Okay. Is that it for that item?
I don't have anything else.
Okay,
All right, our first hearing isn't until 7:40, which will be Clyde Court. We do have some old business to attend to, so we might as well take that now. Elaine, we have 2 items on the agenda. We have 134 Greenwood Street, request for certificate of compliance, and we also have Camp Curtis Guild. Discussion of order of conditions.
Okay, 134 Greenwood Street, that is not yet ready for a certificate of compliance. So I think that should be rolled over to the next meeting.
Okay,
And then I have something else that came in, a request for an extension permit for 0 Greenwood Street. The property owner is Mr. Nee Lu. And he has an automatic extension under COVID, but he wants to make sure that he gets something in writing for the file. So he has requested a 2-year extension. And this project, I'm not sure if you remember it or not. This
Yeah.
project involved a very small home on the edge of a, I don't know, maybe 10-acre, a very large parcel. And he received an order of conditions from us. And then he went and needed to get a permit from either the Board of Appeal or I guess it was the Board of Appeal. And in the process of doing that, he ran into the
50-foot stream. setback.
50-foot setback rule. And then in the course of their review for that, somehow he ran afoul of a submission requirement in that he had taken a stamped plan and he had put his own information on top of it, showing the location of the house or the revised location of the house. And well, according to what he told me, not realizing that he had essentially changed the information on a stamped plan. So the board came back to him and said, we're going to deny this. You can't come back for another 2 years and appear before us again. So the process for him building has been told because he's involved in another legal process, which is one of the reasons why under the Wetlands Protection Act, you are permitted to issue an extension because the property is tied up in other legal matters. So he is requesting a 2-year extension on this. It's DEP file number 574.
Elaine, when would it have otherwise expired under COVID extension?
January 4th, 2022.
So is he requesting an extension from 2 years from that date?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that would make sense. Yep. And he cites the state order, which was issued in 2020 by Governor Baker, which is the COVID-19 emergency order. And so there you go.
Did you say the order's already expired?
No, it would be except for the COVID-19 because it
Oh,
was
okay.
issued on January 4th,
What? Right.
2019.
Okay.
So nothing has changed. It's just the work hasn't started.
Right. Anybody have any concerns or questions about granting the extension?
I would grant the extension.
Is that a motion?
Sure, I'll move it. I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, Frank, Frank,
I said yes. Yep.
oh, you said yes?
Yep.
Okay, Ken,
Yes.
Silvana,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
did I miss anybody? Okay, I also vote yes,
Okay, and that's a 2-year extension, right?
correct.
Okay.
So do you want to discuss the order of conditions for Camp Curtis Guild?
Yeah, that's the next item. You ready for that, Elaine? Cape Curtis Guild?
I am. Now, you, I believe that you've received the order of conditions from Linfield, the order of conditions from Reading, and the recommended orders for Wakefield.
Yes, we did. Rebecca sent it on January 6th.
Okay.
And it looks like, Elaine, we should be using Form 5.
Yeah, I talked to her about that, and she also says Form 5 is the appropriate form to use.
Right, and that, in fact, that's the draft one that she sent, sorry.
Okay, so here you go. I'm looking at Rebecca's notes here. You closed the public hearing at the last meeting. You need to vote on the order of conditions. She's attached the different orders from the different towns. Let's see. And then the rest is I'd like to send out the order of conditions the Tuesday after the meeting. My notes from the last meeting indicate that you contemplated the following conditions. 1, that it's good for 5 years. 2, do not remove large canopy trees in a wetland. 3, provide a yearly report with updates. 4, coordinate a yearly site visit. And then in addition to that, I think I looked through one of the other orders of conditions for the other town, and it modified, provide a yearly report with updates, and added to that and whether or not the treatments were successful, report on successful and unsuccessful methodologies and recommended adjustments. And then to that, I guess there's another one, notification of any changes in the plan. So there you go. That's like 6.
Elaine, do you have the draft order that Rebecca sent to us?
Hold on.
I'm
Let's see.
I don't think she included these special. I think the one she sent didn't include these, it didn't include the 4 that she included on that email, and it certainly didn't include the two new ones that you suggested, which are great, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
I just opened it. I didn't see it.
It's not there. Yeah, so she just I think she just filled out the first page.
Okay, I'm looking at what I have here, and hold on, let me see if there's anything in here. No, what I have are Rebecca's, I have our, there's always the standard order, and to that I have those proposed conditions in the email from Rebecca, to which I added a few more of my own,
Right,
and that's what I have.
so that needs to be added to the draft that Rebecca sent, obviously, for additional conditions. Right.
So other than that, it would be our standard conditions plus these.
Now, I know I probably ask this question every time, but did we keep an as-built as a requirement, or did we pull that off? Because there's nothing being built here.
They're gonna give us a plan, I thought, showing what areas they've treated, weren't they?
After, or are they
Would
getting,
that be the as-built then?
or are they just giving us a plan prior to treatment showing where they're going to?
Well, I remember asking about how we're gonna know whether, it was successful, because I didn't know if I'd be able to tell.
Right.
And,
I mean, it could take a whole season to actually know,
yeah,
or longer.
All right, hold on. There's an attachment here. Let me see what's in here. Okay, so they have in the notice of intent, they have sent a plan of the property, which includes resource areas, access roads, priority habitats, certified vernal pools, and then they have project sectors. They have north, central, and south. And then within that, they have invasive species groups of grass, vines, shrubs, trees, and something called FORB, F-O-R-B. So they have that for each one of these sectors, the north, the central, and the south. So they have already delineated the areas that they propose to treat. And they even list the invasive species: Asiatic bittersweet, autumn olive, barberry, buckthorn, garlic mustard, glossy buckthorn, multiflora rose, and knapweed. And they have a whole list of them here. I won't read them all. But it seems, as I look at these plans that they submitted in the notice of intent, that they have, it seems well documented. They have all the resource areas. They have broken it into sectors. Within the sectors, they have broken it into subsectors, and within each subsector, they have a list of what the invasive species is. So it's already well documented as a base plan.
This is a 5-year plan.
I believe so, yes.
Yes, it was.
So Ginny, you're saying that we did request something showing what was treated? And was that each season or each year?
Once a year we asked for it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a 5-year application.
okay.
So if we ask for an annual report, a yearly report, including successful, and we could also include, in addition to successful or unsuccessful methodologies and adjustments, we could also add to that locations of treatment.
Right.
Okay, I can add that.
Can you go through the additional conditions again, Elaine, please?
Okay, it's good for 5 years. Do not remove, no large canopy trees are to be removed within a wetland resource area. The applicant is to provide a yearly report / update detailing locations of treatment and successful or unsuccessful methodologies and recommended adjustments. The applicant is to provide the Conservation Commission with notification of any changes in the plan. That's it.
So there's 3 conditions?
Well, it winds up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is it being a 5-year plan a condition?
Oh, you know, I'm not sure. You could put it as a condition. I'm not sure I'd have to look at a copy of the order of conditions form. Let's see if there's a checkbox in there.
Yeah,
It
because it's a
talks
5-year
about whether
plan.
it's- Let's see, order of conditions. I don't see anything in here that it just says whether it's an order or an amended order. I don't see any box that you check, whether it's a 3 or a 5. So I would recommend that it be part of the order. So
Okay.
it's written down. So I would include it as one of the orders.
Okay. All right, so we have a standard order of conditions with 5 additional special conditions that Elaine just outlined for us. Anything else? Anybody want to see? Judy, from the minutes from the last meeting or the prior meeting, was there anything else we were looking for?
Not that I know of. It was, the main discussion was about which form to use.
Right.
Right.
All right, if there's no further discussion, would somebody like to make a motion to issue the standard order of conditions with the 5 additional special conditions that Elaine has outlined?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay. Frank?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes,
Jimmy?
yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Silvana?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And I also vote yes.
Elaine, Rebecca wanted to get this out on Tuesday. Is there a way that this goes off at Jimmy's house?
Yeah, I can do that. I can type it up tomorrow and drop it off at Jim's.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm offering your house, Jim. Is that okay? I'm sorry.
that's wonderful. We'll have a party.
You know how much I like coming down there.
What?
I said, you know how much I like coming down there.
I know, you like to travel around Wakefield.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what's next? Anything or?
Do you have any other old business or new business, Elaine?
I'm looking through the agenda here. No, I do not.
You have a few minutes before 7:40. Judy, do you have anything else for us or anything at all?
Jim wants to put the open space plan on an upcoming meeting.
Okay.
Erin was gonna get to it as part of the master plan, but that's kind of gotten behind. So Jim thought it would be a good idea to jumpstart things. And it was during the last town council meeting, the Vision 2030 plan came up. And part of that was open space. So I think maybe railing in someone from town council to the discussion would be helpful.
Your recommendation who that would be?
Well, the one who spoke the most about the need to try to scale back on building was Ed Dombrowski.
Okay.
And I know Julie Galvin, I had spoken to her about open space issues before, and she's on environmental sustainability.
Right.
And I think also getting environmental sustainability involved with it because they're looking at some open space topics as well to generate some more support so that we don't have to wait, because otherwise it won't even get looked at for at least a year. So I think it can't keep being pushed down the road. And I don't know what would preclude the commission from taking on, at least looking at it and making updates and submitting that to town council. I mean, I don't know what the exact vehicle would be because I know it's part of the master plan, but I don't see that it would hurt if the commission took the initiative, made some changes, updates, and then presented that to the town council. You know, be proactive, because otherwise it'll just be a holding pattern for the next 2 years.
We're gonna have a pretty full agenda on the 27th.
Right.
sure,
I don't think
yeah.
that, I don't think the next agenda is a good one.
Yeah,
No,
we're
I
probably
agree.
looking, probably later February or
Right.
March. Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Okay. Anything else, Judy?
The town just posted that the reappointments are due. So if anyone's up for reappointment, you have until, I think it's February 11th to submit to
end of
town
March.
council. What's that?
I think it's the end of March, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that, because I'm up for reappointment.
But I think the letters are due in February.
Oh, the letters aren't okay.
Yeah, it's you, Frank, and Silvana, I believe.
Let's take a look. We should know that so we don't,
Friday, February 11th is the deadline.
Okay, yeah, I have an email from Sherry on that.
yeah, Silvana. Frank. So there's two up, right? Silvana and Frank, right?
Yeah.
That's not in here.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I remember we had a little hiccup a few years ago when they sort of made their appointments sooner than we thought. And I just don't want that to happen again.
All right, I do have 7:40 now. At 7:40, we have 2 Clyde Court. There is no DEP file number yet. It's a public hearing, notice of intent for the construction of a single-family dwelling and buffer to BVW. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, Paul.
I don't know if, have we, I don't know if we've got any plans or anything yet. Have you sent anything over to us?
Yes, I sent the copies of the notice and the plans, dropped them off and also sent PDFs. And I also sent PDF last week for the updated plan that had to show the 100-foot buffer line on there.
Oh, yeah.
And I also dropped off copies of that plan.
This one was formerly Prospect Street.
Yes, correct. This is part of this is the last lot in the 3-lot subdivision.
Yeah,
And this is the one that falls within the jurisdiction.
right. Do you have the plan you can share with us? And
Yes, I can.
All right, yeah, go ahead and please share.
So there was already a filing on this.
Oh, you
one.
have to let me in. Well,
Yeah,
let
I
me,
did. Yeah, I did as I was telling you to share.
That was the prior filing in ANRAD?
No, the prior filing I thought was for a 3-lot a 3-lot subdivision, right?
Correct. Hold, I'm just trying to get up the drawing.
Okay,
But just procedurally, because I remember going out and doing the site walk on this.
Yes, originally this was to file for a 3-lot subdivision, which was for the construction of the roadway and the rain gardens on site.
Right, right.
I see. That was limited. Okay.
All right, it's limited to the roadway and the rain garden, which is on this lot and also in the rear lot.
You should be able to share.
I'm trying to, yeah.
Okay. You go to my side anyways.
Feel your pain, Paul. I know what I mean.
I can't share it. Won't let me share for some reason.
Let's see.
Plan is on the website. I could pull that up and share it.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Oh, what?
Is it up there now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, you can rotate it.
can you turn it?
I'm trying, yeah, I'm working on it.
Jimmy, go offer some IT support.
And that's what I have right now.
Send a Jimmy over.
Oh, God.
Oh, right there.
What? No, that's the
We just rotated it before.
yeah, but it's a different platform because it won't let you share another way. You can't rotate. Can you see this?
Can you see that one now?
yes.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that looks good.
All right.
Thank you, IT support. Thank you,
Yeah.
Geek Squad.
It's good to have a daughter who knows how to use the computer. Yeah, if I can zoom in, I guess.
That's better.
Okay, so again, what we're proposing is a single-family house on this lot. We're within the 100-foot buffer zone. We're meeting the zoning setbacks, and we're just off the 25-foot buffer zone to the back of the foundation of the existing house, of the proposed house. So there will be some work, slightly work within that 25 foot when we have to put the footing in, then it'll be backfilled and put the hay bales back in.
Okay, I'm sorry, can I just ask you, where is Prospect Street here?
Excuse me?
Where is Prospect Street?
Whereas Prospect Street is to the right of the lot. So this is the corner lot on the left-hand side of Clyde and Prospect.
Left-hand side.
So if you're looking at the screen, Prospect's to our right. If you see the rain garden,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
just keep
yeah.
going to your right, that's Prospect Street.
Okay, I see, yes, I'm sorry, I understand, okay.
So the roadway is on the top of the sheet. Clyde Court is the top of the sheet.
And is it shown on the top of the street?
Yes.
Huh,
So are you saying the original filing was for the road and the?
The original filing was for the roadway, utilities, the rain garden on the front lot, and since we did drainage on the entire site, there's a rain garden on lot 2, which is to our left, in the rear of lot 2. Or lot B2, I should say.
Was there separate filings for the other lots then, for the other house?
There was no filings because they were outside jurisdiction.
Okay,
All the work was, besides what you see in that 100-foot circle there, semicircle, was outside jurisdiction.
okay.
So the 100-foot buffer, that's the, where is the, I'm sorry, is the wetlands just that little tiny little?
Yes, the wetlands flags are flags A2, A1, B1, B2 down there in the lower
Oh,
center of the drawing
that-
where the
That
ditch
tiny
is.
little piece is
Yeah,
the
that
only,
little- yeah, yes.
And that first semicircle is the 25-foot.
That's the 25-foot buffer with the
Yeah.
hay bales.
All right,
Yes,
the large semi is the 100.
yes,
oh,
correct.
Got it.
I see.
Yeah, you'll see it says wetlands line, 25-foot buffer zone, and then the 100-foot buffer on the outside. So the rain gardens and the roadway have all been constructed. They were, as-built was submitted into engineering. Weekly reports were submitted in also by the engineer during the any rain event and so forth. And I think on a weekly basis, he would go out there and inspect the site.
I got it. But
And
what
how-
about tree?
How's it working?
Excuse me?
How's it working?
It's functioning great. Even in the heavy rains that we had recently in the fall there, the systems work perfect.
Okay,
It's good to hear.
yeah, that's real good to hear. Is it fully vegetated?
The rain garden's been, yes, the rain garden's been vegetated in the front and the back. We'll be doing work in the springtime, getting rid of the rest of the weeds that are outside the rain garden and also installing the new trees out along Prospect Street.
And how long ago did you plant the rain garden
That was done in the spring
of last year?
of this past, yes.
wasn't
Spring,
there some
summer.
recent, Paul, wasn't there some recent work done on that before the frost?
There was some more work, additional work when they cut down some of the vegetation.
Yeah,
And then they redid the mass. They had also done the one out and back. So it was
Yeah.
done during the spring, summer and fall, actually almost all three.
yeah, it was done in the fall, it was done, I mean, I remember.
The rain garden out in front was done in the fall. The one in the back was done. Yeah, I'm just getting my seasons a little screwed up here. But yes, it was done in the late summer, early fall.
Yeah, so it
we
hasn't
got-
been that long.
Yeah. They cut down all the vegetation out in front, all the weeds. And
So,
installed
Paul,
the plantings.
What about tree cutting? Is there, how many trees are gonna have to get cut down here?
On this, none.
They're already gone.
Yeah, it's
It's already
already
gone.
cleared.
That site is gone. There's nothing there.
There was a tree that was in that buffer area that fell down in the windstorm, which was a really large tree that came down.
Geez, that's too bad, Paul, huh?
Well, it didn't do any good because it wasn't really, we weren't doing any work there anyway.
I'm teasing. All right, so, okay, so no trees are coming down and we're only dealing, and there's just that tiny little bit of wet,
Yep.
there's only that tiny bit of wetland. And there's no trees in the, so in the back of the house, there's just no trees, none.
There's the basically some smaller trees, but nothing large. except for that one tree we're showing. Other than that, there's
And
no.
Sharon,
no
the
big
back,
trees.
the back of the house, right on the 25-foot buffer line.
Yes,
Absolutely, yeah.
yes.
And then isn't there a big dip where the house is to the rain garden? You're gonna have to do a lot of fill there, right? I know that's
No, we're
out-
not gonna do any, no,
no fill?
nope, no. No filling in behind the house. We're gonna leave that grade as is.
No, I don't mean behind the house. I mean next to, between the house and the rain garden.
There is some grade. It's, well, I'm actually carrying the contours. You can see the proposed contours are within a foot of what's out there now. What we're proposing between the spot grades that are there now and the final grades. So I'm gonna be filling it to get towards the rain garden because that has a berm all the way around it. Around the rain garden. So there's the
You're
contour,
filling in a foot then.
a foot and 2 feet in the front, roughly 2 to 3 feet in the front. You can see the contour, the 192 contour carries in to meet up to the street. And then there's the 190 contour that's at the back of the house. And that blends into the 190 contour that's existing now.
Wasn't there some concern on this about like an underground stream or, I remember we were at the site, there was water percolating.
There's water, well, that's why we have a stone swale that ran all the way down along the property line to the right. Along the, I'll call it the rear of the house, there's a stone swale that we ran in and picked up. And then we have the overflow from the rain garden. But yes, there was water there and that's what that connects into. But that was down at the beginning. There was an old trench that ran through there. But that's been,
Well, did we have some concern about, asking the other people who were on the sidewalk about something running underground, that there maybe was there was something going on there?
Wasn't the house that was existing pumping?
they had a sump pump that used to pump
Yeah.
outside to a ditch.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but they had water running there anyways, because it was, yes, it did pump, but there was water there without it pumping as well.
Yeah, there was some
Oh.
standing water in it off and on during the season.
So has the gravel, I know you put like a gravel connector between the rain garden and the area where the wetland is. How is that worked out so far? Have you noticed
It's looking
anything?
good. I mean, you can go out there anytime during the rainstorm. You can see the water flow stays basically in the rain garden.
Yeah,
And we have a slight that picks up the water from the abutter,
yeah,
flows down into the swale and it just runs down. So,
okay,
I mean, we do have pictures and everything from time the development started till present,
okay.
basically during every rainstorm event and on.
Now, the finished grades, so the finished grade at the house is about 190, you're saying?
Well, in the rear, it's gonna be 190 on the right side of the house, it's 192. I'm facing the street, so the right side facing the street,
Okay,
192, and I'm carrying it up to 196. They have
Yeah.
a garage floor at 194, so there'll be,
okay, but the area that's closest to the wetland is around.
we're gonna be leaving that alone.
You're gonna leave that alone?
190,
yes.
What I'm curious about is how the grading matches with the grading around in the 25-foot buffer, how that matches with your house. So. I think
Basically, my
that's like-
basement grade is at 190 and the grade out and back is at 189.
And I'm just concerned about what that area is gonna be like, because I'm sure that's gonna be part of a traffic area for these people who live in this house, right? I mean, they're gonna wanna use that area just to get to the deck over here, right?
Well, the deck, they'll be able to come in off the back of the house. It'll be coming down I'll call it the left sideline facing the street. or
Yeah,
The right sideline facing the house from the street. So
yeah,
that has a natural slope down towards the back.
okay. So it's an area that's not gonna be flooded with
Yeah.
water or anything. It's gonna be
Yeah, correct, yeah.
something that will be grassed or something like that.
Well, it'll just be kept in its natural state because we won't be doing any work within that 25-foot
Well, what
buffer.
is its natural state?
I think it's grass right now, grass and what it was
Okay.
before which is mostly grass, is that sod grass that was
Yep.
out there.
Is there some reason why the house can't be moved closer to Clyde Court?
Zoning goes 20 feet and I'm at 21.
Mm.
And what, I can't tell, what is the distance now? Oh, it's 21. Okay, yeah.
21, zoning's 20.
So essentially, the backyard will be the 25-foot
Behind that
Uh,
portion of the house, yes, correct.
Hmm. Okay.
Is that a dry well to the right of the driveway?
Yes, that's a dry well. That was part of the original design, was picking up the houses, all had their own individual dry wells.
So it's picking up all the roof runoff?
Let's pick up the roof runoff, yes.
That replace and relocate line, is that the old
Well,
pipe?
that's under the original development, the hay bales were put in behind the house before it was torn down. And then
Oh.
it came across the swale, and then it ran down along the property line where the stone swale is.
Okay, right.
So that was part of the original order of conditions. And now we're just gonna relocate that set of hay bales to further back on the line for getting in the deck and stairs and so forth.
So are you saying the edge of the house is right on the 25-foot buffer line?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I mean, it's,
it is.
how can it really be a no disturb if you're gonna be?
I didn't say it was, I said there's a partial disturbance to get the footing in.
No, I understand that, Paul, but it's so close. How do they get out of the house? It's a walkout in the back, right?
It's underneath, that's part of the garage there, so the walkout's near the deck area if they want to step up. There's no real there's not a walkout out of the house,
Out of the
out
back,
of the
it isn't?
basement.
Out of the back, it isn't.
Yeah. That back area,
Where's the garage?
the garage is, if you're facing from the street, it's on the left-hand side, you show this driveway right there. There's a driveway coming
I
in
see a
on the,
drive, I'm sorry. I
right
see
next to
a
the
drive.
dry well.
I understand.
Right,
Sorry.
right.
That's the driveway, that's the garage.
But just going back to the fact that the entire backyard is in the 25-foot buffer zone. And does that raise a question about what people use their backyards for, a variety of things. And is it fair to say that anything that the entire backyard is essentially, if you look at, the entire backyard is in the 25-foot buffer zone. That's really what I'm, and as night follows day, do you care about, swing sets and pools and, or the things that people use a backyard for? Is that, it's going to be all seated, it's all going to be disturbed because it's all going to be seated, and maybe we don't, I'm just trying to understand what the implications are of it's not just any 25 feet, it's the 25 feet that you would expect to get heavy use for a residence.
Especially for residents for this type of house.
I mean, people just don't not say, I'm not going to, I don't use my backyard, so I shouldn't say. I can't.
What is the setback to the left side of the house? Is that what the 16 feet is?
Yeah, minimum
That's
is
the property
15.
line?
Yeah, 15 is the minimum.
And it's 16 to the property line right now.
Yes.
Wait, what is 15 from the back of the property
No,
line?
the rear yard is 25, we're 31. The side yard is 15 and we're at 16.
Oh, what's the basement floor elevation? Is that the
Basement floor is
190?
190.
So
wait,
you,
yeah, okay.
and you've got to go, and the garage and the driveway elevation is 195.
Yes.
Mhm.
So it is a walkout in the back,
There could be a walkout underneath the deck, yes.
right?
Underneath the deck, okay.
But I mean, your grade, your contours, is 190 over in that right-hand corner of the plan.
Yep,
And so all across that back, it looks like it's gonna be 190, the same as the
well,
floor.
it's 190 and you got 189, yes.
Should be a little bit lower, because, yeah, it should be actually lower than the 190, right?
Well, I'm not, yeah, that's gonna be the garage area, so there's nothing there. There's not a basement in that push underneath the garage.
No, but it's gonna be like a retaining wall almost.
The wall, the foundation will be a retaining wall, yes.
Yeah, but where the garage is, it's gonna be filled in with dirt, right? It's
Yeah,
not
it'll be
gonna
filled in that 192, the contour, yes, and there might be a wall, depending on how it gets graded up there in the end.
Mhm. Okay,
So looking at the,
oh,
What is the size of this house? I can't tell from the drawing.
House is, hold on one second, I'll tell you. It's 64 feet across.
That's garage corner to the other end of the house?
Yeah, from one end to the, yeah, from left to right. And then the
How
main
wa-
box, I'll call on the other side, is 30 feet, and then where the garage is 23.
oh, so you're undersized already.
Yeah.
Hmm.
oh, Paul, is the, okay. What is the,
I-
what is the rule about the distance from the, the back of the deck or from to the lot line? I was just curious, is that 25 feet or is that,
No, decks can be closer than 25.
how close is a deck? Can a deck doesn't count or is it just? is
No,
it-
I think it's next to 5 feet, so you're like 20 feet.
Oh, they give you 5, so it's 20 feet. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So. And is there any usable yard in the, in terms of,
Well, the basic use about be right behind the deck.
Yeah, I can see that.
Other than that, you have the other side's an easement. So it's a small footprint for the house in the usable area.
Where's the
I just-
easement?
The
Oh,
the
drain
rain
easement.
garden, that whole area is an easement.
Oh, that whole thing is an easement.
Yes,
Okay. So where's that dashed line? It's all an easement.
that's easement, yes.
and the
I
lot,
didn't hear the question asked explicitly, but how are we keeping that area undisturbed?
The
Oh,
rain, Frank,
What's that?
the rain garden area?
No, I'm
no,
sorry.
25-foot.
25-foot buffer
25
zone.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I guess the question, that's right, is the question, is it right now, is it currently mowed lawn? Is that what it is now? What is it now?
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
I'm telling
It's
you.
grass. You just told me it was grass.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying nothing, but yeah, it's grass, it's whatever's out
It's
there
like-
when you'll see out in the
Oh,
spring.
yeah. It's scrubby looking.
Yeah,
think-
it hasn't been touched.
I think that you probably have to realize that that property in the behind the garage and stuff is gonna get used. I mean, it's,
They're gonna want to plant, they're gonna want to put sod there and kids are gonna want to play there and I don't know how is that,
I mean, is there a way to identify the area as, I mean.
I
they're
mean,
gonna
you could
use
put up,
some of
you
the
could put
area.
up a post and rail fence if you wanted to along that area as a limit of activity, they can't go beyond that.
Yeah,
Can't limit the ability to walk around the entire house. I mean,
Right.
that's basically what you would be doing.
right.
I just think, yeah, and there won't be any doors, for example, will this lot, I mean, I know you're just proposing a house, but there won't be any kind of doors will be on the other side of the house outside there won't be
I
a door.
haven't seen the entire well, you'll have the same main ingress, coming in off the street. You have the garage coming in. And there's the possibility he can have a door coming out underneath the deck. I'm
Plus
not
stairs.
sure what's on the final plans for the house.
Yeah, and there's stairs coming off the deck showing
Yes.
also.
Yeah, so those the deck that's coming in and off the first floor.
Yeah. There's,
No way that 25-foot buffer area won't be heavily used.
well, I think,
I mean, it sort of contemplates that that's sort of a central part of the backyard of the house.
mm. I mean, I could see putting up some type of a fence running across that back area, because I think you need something, because I don't imagine that people are gonna use that. That's their backyard. And as long as they don't disturb the wetland,
Well, I'm not so disturbing the wetland, but it's I mean, your point, Jim, if it was sodded and looked beautiful, but it wasn't used, is that acceptable to you?
I don't know.
Well, then, this could be maintained if that were the case.
Yeah,
You
I'm sorry, what did you say, Bob? I don't
I said
understand.
if it was sodded, it would end up being maintained, it would be mowed, it would be probably
Yes.
fertilized and.
That's
who
right.
knows
That's
what
my
else.
point. So I
Yeah.
guess my point is, if they put down sod and they mowed it, obviously they're not going to mow that little piece of the wetland, but most of that semicircular area, they would mow and manicure. Does that provide sufficient protection for the wetland or not? That's the question that I'm asking is something like sodded. I
would think no, because it'd be very easy to encroach into that small wetland in that yard as is.
Paul, is there any way to move it to the left, or is there, what's?
It's only
what-
got 1 foot.
I don't have
You're
any
only
room
6
to-
feet from the lot line. Yeah.
No, I have no way to move the house.
And otherwise, you don't need any zoning relief? The way it's situated now, Paul? No.
Sorry, I wouldn't need any relief from zoning, correct? And I wouldn't get relief from zoning because basically you created your own hardship when you did a subdivision.
You see your concern about that area, Paul, so.
Mhm.
And it creates expectations for the homeowners. I mean, the point that I would make is that you sell the house and they're gonna sod it, and they're gonna say, what do you mean I can't sod? What do you mean I can't, have a backyard? That's, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is realistically, if this is gonna be something other than a lawn, if this has to be, maintained in a particular way, that's gotta be very carefully laid, that's gotta be pretty much done up front, and that's gonna affect the, it definitely is going to affect the utility of the backyard.
Paul, I want to ask you a question.
Mhm.
Where you have the A1 and A2 and then the
Yep.
B2 flags, right?
Yep,
Is that the same location that's shown on the original filing for the 3 lot
Yes.
subdivision?
yes,
That doesn't extend up any further.
no, that's it.
That's exactly the spot.
That's exactly the same, hasn't changed.
Okay,
Mhm.
because that's where the water was coming out when.
Yeah,
From-
I mean, the other option is if I widened out the wetlands area and did some replication work between A1 and A2 going along the lot lines and made that wider, say, pulling it back away from the house. Say I ticked up 5 feet, then that would give me a 5-foot buffer off the back of the house if I wanted to do some plantings and replication on either side of the flags. If there's such concern about the backyard area.
Say that again, Paul?
I
What-
said, if we're concerned that I'm 25 feet away from the house from basically the A1 flag, and I decided to come off the flags A1 and where the A2 line is and sort of move off to the left and to the right and do plantings in there and do some vegetation there and pull that wetlands line away from the house with doing some new plantings along that area. Then I would have a buffer area, say another extra 5 feet from the house if I pulled my replication 5 feet from the house.
Well, how
Emergency
far out does that A1 extend from the property line?
That one comes out about 11 feet plus or minus.
So you would take 5 feet off of that, so you're like 6 feet.
Yep, and then I would just widen it out on either side of those flags.
I mean, now you're encroaching on the deck area, right?
Well, I can go to the other way. I'll go from the B1 and the B2 flag and slide it right over towards where that swale is, where the easement line is.
Hmm.
Because you're talking an area that's only going to be, 5 by 5, 25 square feet. And then just make that up on the area, which is roughly a 12 by 10 area or 12 by 5 area.
Isn't there kind of like a bank or in that area of A1 and A2 and B2? I mean, you don't have any elevations out in that little jetted out area, but I recall it as being kind of depressed.
Yeah, there was a depression right in there, yes.
And I don't know if you want to disturb that. I would think if we put a fence across that, right at that line, I don't know, would be better than trying to replicate BBW.
At
Okay.
what line, Jimmy, at what line would the fence go?
Well, I mean, just upstream of that A1 flag. Go right.
Okay,
I mean, that's the best I think you could do. I mean, you just,
in the middle of that, between A1 and the back of the house?
yeah. I don't know, anyone else got any ideas?
So at least you protect that area closest to the wetlands.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, it's probably not the best thing to do because, I mean, being that close to the wetland, I mean, there's gonna be grass clippings and all that kind of stuff that they're gonna have to get rid of or do something with, and plus they've got the rain garden there, which is another maintenance issue. I don't know, it's tough.
It's a tough site to build a house on.
Yeah. Maybe we put a
Maybe,
maybe we put a fence like 10 feet off the back of the house or something like that. What about that? Anyone see any value in that?
Are you still
Yeah, I do.
inconsistent with the policy?
Pardon?
You're still inconsistent with the policy, correct?
Yes, we are.
well, if you put a fence 10 feet, you put a fence 10 feet from the back of the house?
Yeah. I mean, it's splitting the difference really, but it may be no disturb, but it's really not for what we, for that house, just the way it is. It's got so many things going on around it.
Yeah. I think should we go out and look at this? I mean, I always think,
You'd have to have the house staked, right?
I can mark out the house.
Mm. Okay. Yeah,
If
I think it
you
might,
decide- You can't believe you'll have to ever build a house there, I'll tell you that, but that's okay.
It'd have to be a 3-story townhouse, 12 by 12, 12 by 12. 3-story.
you gotta build up, not out. Go 3 stories instead.
Yeah.
I'll have to get a variance.
I think it makes sense to see it again.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
House staked.
sounds like
Yeah,
a
I can
breakfast
mark
date.
that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'd like to see what it looks like. I haven't been out there since the whole thing went through. I don't even know what it looks like.
Well, there were 2 houses built. I can tell you that. One is
Yeah.
in, can you tell I live very close, Paul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you must be up there spying on them.
The dog past it. I see how well the rain garden works.
Yeah,
Up close.
that'd be interesting. I'm curious on how the rain garden's working, really. I mean, that's a big deal.
When do you guys want to go? Do you want to go?
Frank probably has to have breakfast.
Always. Most important meal of the day.
Saturday morning or Sunday morning?
It's okay with me.
Just a quick question. Do we typically, do we have projects where we change the limits of the wetlands, the resource area to adjust the buffer zone, kind of like we talked about? Do we have a lot of experience with that?
And I can't even understand what you're saying.
You're a little broken up there, Ken.
Ken asked if there's experience with granting permission to do things within the 25-foot buffer zone.
Yeah, let's give it.
So I think it's a policy. I think we have alternate in the past.
Yeah, before we had a policy, it would happen.
Well, and we also had this I just want to get to that. We're not talking about improvements in the 25-foot buffer zone. We're just talking about,
A fence.
well, yeah, I'm not so worried about the fence because the fence is actually meant to be, that's to our benefit. We'd rather have the fence than not have the fence. So I guess my thought is that, I mean, it's routine that we allow people to mow, that it's not a total no disturb. I think the 25-foot buffer is oftentimes meant, isn't it really for like improvements or cutting trees or making kind of negative changes to what is there? So I'm not sure that it's that inconsistent to do something like this. And I think that the trade-off would be that the fence would make it so that there wouldn't be normal use on the other side of the fence. And that would be something that would be to the benefit of the wetland. Are we right?
Yeah.
Am I-
And maybe we can improve that area with some plantings,
Yeah.
plants that would provide habitat or food. And
Yeah.
so make it more about quality, not quantity of
To the
land.
area on the other side of the fence, Frank, you're saying.
Correct.
Right.
It seems to me like I see a lot of situations where people mow, within 20, in the 25-foot, and it's not terribly, I don't think we have an absolute, I don't think we're as concerned about that as when people try to build things in the 25, the foundation is going to be within the 25-foot buffer zone, and it's not here. I guess what I'm saying is, Paul, is that going to go over okay when you try to market the property? If there's a fence and people look out and say, what's that fence? So you can't do anything on the other side of the fence. And my point is only that if you don't put it up there, we're gonna have an enforcement order situation coming up here,
Yeah, they'll be dumping whatever leaves, clippings or
Well,
whatever.
no,
into the
they're
wetland.
gonna mow, they're gonna sod it and they're gonna mow it and they're gonna put a swing set in there and why wouldn't they? And
Well-
my point is only that I'm just asking Paul, is that something where if you did something that clearly set an expectation that within that fenced area that would go 15 feet, that nothing would happen. Is that something that you think is gonna, hinder the marketing of the property? But at least from our standpoint, it makes it absolutely clear the expectation is clear.
Yeah, there could be signage also to that point, like we had done.
People pull up
another
sign.
place. Right, but just so anybody
sign.
looking at it knows, oh, they see that sign and they understand what they're getting into.
Yeah, I'm all for the sign. I think that's important.
Homeowners aren't aware of Wetlands Protection Act issues, generally speaking, and things of that nature. So a sign to make anybody looking at the property understand what's expected, would be beneficial.
Well, are we gonna go? I want to go look at it.
Yeah.
I think I'm still leaning towards a fence at the end of it, somewhere along, some distance off of the A1. But I want to see what it looks like if it's the way I remember it.
Right.
So who wants to go out this weekend and when?
You coming for breakfast, Teresa?
Well, I can walk through the site. It'll take
That doesn't answer my question.
it's a 2-minute walk. So,
Sunday's going to be about 20 degrees warmer than Saturday.
Oh. All right, so let's get a date for looking at this. Sunday, you're thinking, right?
yeah, Sunday would be
Yeah.
warm on Saturday. Do you want
Sunday
to?
at what time?
Is 8 too early?
Frank, are you going
I will be there. Yes.
at 8?
Yes.
Okay,
Wait, I'm sorry, when are we gonna look at this?
Sunday at 8.
Sunday at 8 a.m.? Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay.
Does-
Make
does
it
that give-
8:30.
does that
Can you
give-
make it 8:30?
Does that give Paul enough time to stake out? and
I'll be
kinda-
out there tomorrow.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
he wants to get that done.
So Sunday at 8:30, Jim?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can make it or not. I've got to get somebody at the airport.
Okay,
But I'm gonna,
We'll-
if not, I'm
we'll
gonna
take
look at it
pictures.
myself. Huh?
we'll take pictures.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll take a look at it
Jimmy, I'm
myself
not-
also.
Jimmy, I'll try, but I'm not sure. I have something to do, just, I don't know what time.
Okay,
What we
I'll
say,
be there.
8:30?
yeah,
Okay,
8:30
be there.
Sunday.
I'll be
And-
there.
Paul, they can pull into, Clyde Court. There won't be anything barring us from driving in there, right?
No, you can drive in there. You have the right to drive in there anywhere under the previous.
Is there a
order
place for,
notice.
is there a place for 3 or 4 cars to park?
Yes, you can park right along the street.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks.
On Clyde
Wide
Court.
enough for 2 cars to go
They
by.
don't park on Prospect Street, but a Clyde Court you can park on.
Probably court, yeah.
Right.
turn-
Yep.
Okay,
Door will get ripped off if you park on Prospect. All right,
Okay.
so
So we'll
sidewalks
see you
Sunday
there.
at 8:30.
Right, thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
yeah,
Paul.
thanks, Paul.
Yeah, I'm here for the next one too.
Okay.
Oh, are you? So stay
Yes.
there.
All right,
Don't
so the next one is DEP 313612. It's 66 Butler Ave. It's abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 436 linear feet of BVW.
Oh, we
Okay,
definitely
take it
want-
away, Paul.
Evening, Paul Finocchio, PDF Associates again. This property is located at 66 Butler Ave. It's a single-family dwelling that's sitting on the site. We had Steve Erickson from Norse Environmental delineated the wetlands. Elaine Vreeland had walked the site with us about a month or so ago. We also did soil samples out there, which were also submitted in, I believe, last week to Elaine. So if I'll share the screen with you.
Sure.
Yeah. How come we don't have copies of this stuff, hard copies? Elaine, did you get hard copies for this?
Yeah, I have hard copies of the request. The only thing I did not forward was the soil, or Rebecca did not forward, was the soils information, but you should have the delineation,
Yeah, I think we have this one.
Well,
the delineation plan.
they were never brought to my house or,
Oh, electronic, Jimmy, probably.
well, I want a piece of paper to look good, not,
You telling me you didn't get an
Yeah.
electronic copy of this?
no, I don't have a copy of it.
There's actually, there's a link to the website on the Comcom website.
Oh, that's helpful. And we could have gotten Clyde Court from that easily too. Okay.
Yeah, it was sent on, Rebecca sent it out last Thursday.
Oh, I didn't know that there was that. Okay,
Or was that today? No, it was last Thursday.
I gave this as a favorite.
All right,
Okay, so I did share the screen, so you should see Butler Ave up on your screen.
Got it.
Okay, so the wetlands flag starting on the easterly side of the property goes from 1B to 2B, 3B, 4, 5 to 6B, then to 1A running along the easterly border and then cutting across out towards Butler Street. So that line was walked by Elaine and myself and also with Steve Erickson.
well, what is this that we're looking at? Where is the BVW?
BVW is the wetlands flags, that dash line that says bordering vegetated wetlands. So on the easterly side, it starts off at flag 1B, which is up past the garage on the right.
Yeah, 1B.
1B to 2B to 3 to 4 to 5 and 6, which are off-site. Then ties into flag 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A by that concrete pad.
Okay, but to the left, is it all wetland?
Yes,
It is all wetland, that whole
that's all
area.
BVW, yes.
So Jimmy, this is, that area, it's actually like behind that is Gumwood. Gumwood
Yeah.
Ave.
Yes,
At Montrose Woods.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this is let's see, there's only one house after this before you turn right on Davy Lane to get into Montrose.
Does anyone know how to rotate the site plan, or is it rotatable? I don't see any icon to do that. Drive me crazy.
this, it shows straight up on my screen.
What?
On my screen, it's straight up and down, so.
Will Butler Ave being on the bottom on your screen?
Yes, Butler Ave is on the bottom.
Right.
Where's Curtis Street?
Curtis Street is to our left and behind us.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where that single house is and there's
Yes.
a big wall along Butler Ave.
Yes, correct. Yeah,
And
there's
the
a
whole
wall
thing-
that goes along the right
Okay,
to the left. Then there's a driveway that leads out to what's left of a garage.
okay. So,
Right. And it's like a large field or whatever. to
Yes,
the-
it's like a meadow almost.
Yeah.
Yes,
and that's all BBW.
that's all BVW.
Okay, so these are existing structures, right?
Yes,
And you're just looking for for resource areas.
correct. We're just looking for the acceptance of the line so that the owner can see what he wants to do now without putting in a
And
new
Elaine,
house.
you went out there, Elaine?
I did. We walked the site and we took soil samples. He had a soil auger. And, you know, if you look at the plan, you'll see there's a lot of spot grades in here, but if you could connect them, you'd see that there's a bit more of a break and slope. And then in the areas where it wasn't quite as obvious, I asked for soil samples. And you could see when he got above and below that mark that the soil was either hydric or non-hydric. And then he followed it up by sending over the soils data.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, this
so
house has
it-
been like abandoned or something for quite a while, right?
Yeah, it's in
Bad shape.
disrepair.
Yeah.
So is this a stream or anything like that? No, this isn't a stream.
No, there's no
How am I
stream,
saying
no.
that? It's just, is there a bank?
There is on the right-hand side, because there's a drainage easement that I think is on the abutting property somewhere. But that's just top of the ditch.
All right, but
Yeah,
Elaine's
three-
just saying now where she took the samples, there was a break in the elevation, right?
Yeah, there's probably along like the flags, 5A, 6A, and 4A in that area.
So are you saying there's a bank resource or not?
No, I'm not saying it's a bank resource. I'm just saying that this is a BVW, and that was all the way around. He called me to call it as a bank because there's a ditch there instead of calling it a BVW.
Where's it getting the water from?
From the street.
It's all
It
just
picks up
street
drainage
runoff?
from Butler Ave.
So it's not a, okay.
Yeah, it's not a stream.
Why do I think I'm just, in my mind, because I grew up down that area, I'm thinking there's a stream there, but there isn't.
No, I know it's a drainage that picks up drainage from Butler.
I think the stream is more towards the middle of the site. More towards the middle of Butler Avenue. If you drive a little bit further, you'll come to the stream where it gets culverted, where we looked at that site on the left, on the same side as this.
Hmm,
Was this delineated before?
I never remember being delineated.
This is seeming familiar to me. Elaine, do you recall if this was ever delineated before?
I don't remember ever being out there before.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing this property in
It
front of us
was,
before.
yeah, it was a long time ago. I'm thinking like
Yeah.
15 plus years.
I think I want to see this myself. I want to look at this on Sunday.
Yeah, it gets very vegetated in back there.
I can't believe that's all wetland down there. It's like, it looks like a meadow down there.
Yep.
A field, yeah.
At one time, this is probably all maintained because they did plantings of the trees a long time ago. So you'll see out there smaller trees. I forget what kind they were. He had mentioned it, but they're not native to the area. They were
Weren't they walnuts or
Yeah,
something?
that's, yeah, walnut trees.
Oh,
Wow.
really? Oh,
So at
ledge
one
out
time,
there.
this was all maintained and mowed, then it just was left and basically became like a, call it a meadow.
yeah.
Paul, is that all ledge that I see on the, I'm looking at an aerial photo.
There is
Looks like
a
lot of-
ledge outcropping off onto the left of the house.
Yeah, can you share the aerial photo?
I am sharing it.
I
Oh,
can't.
no,
see it.
he means, Frank,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can.
I'm looking at the aerial from my phone.
Oh, sorry.
from My computer, but
Yeah, I can take over, I think. Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't use Zoom that much, but let's see if I can do this.
there's a pool on the property right behind it.
Can you see that? So I'll put north up. So for scale, let me zoom out a little. There's St. Florence.
Yeah, so Curtis Street is just up and to the right, to the left.
Yeah, here's Curtis Street here.
Yeah, so,
Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Wow, that's a big lot.
yeah, it's 36,000 square foot lot, but
What percentage of it is wetlands then?
I didn't do the numbers.
But a good percentage of that grassed green area is delineated as wetlands.
Yes, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll see if you, when you go out there.
Hmm.
At one time, it was maintained as a mowed lawn, and you can see those trees that are sort of in the lot,
Right,
those are walnut trees.
Yeah, so Jim, the wetlands goes like at least at the top of the, at the, closer to Curtis Street, it's almost right to the road.
Yeah,
Is wet. So it really, there's no opportunity to build pretty much to the left of the house, looks like. Or maybe there is, I don't know, maybe there is, I don't know. But a lot of it is, the wetlands goes almost to the street when you get to you get closer to Curtis Street.
so it's like a deep,
Basically, the proposed house will probably sit over where the existing house is now, and then just meet the required setbacks and be 25 feet away from the wetlands.
hmm. Oh, I got a good picture there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see that's the ledge outcropping where the flagpole is.
So 9 o'clock on Sunday, Jim?
What's that?
I said 9 o'clock on Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wait, 30 for one and 9 o'clock for the other?
we'll do, first one at 8:30 and then 9 o'clock over here on Butler Ave.
Hey, Jim, what would you think about reversing it if we were gonna do we could go to breakfast on your
So
sandwich?
Teresa's gonna walk there. We can't make her walk all the way down here.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Butler Ave, if you do Butler Ave, I'll be driving there, but that's okay. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. I don't care if I go to Butler.
That's fine, no, we'll do that, I like it, that's fine.
all right, so 9 o'clock Sunday site walk, 66 Butler Ave.
All right,
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Paul.
All right, good night.
thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, next
Help her.
up. Next up is actually 8:30 DEP 313602. That would be 237 Water Street. This is the car wash. It's a continued public hearing, notice of intent for the reconfiguration of the pavement and to add car vacuum stations within a buffer to bank and riverfront. Flo's Car Wash. Is the applicant here?
Hi,
Yes,
good evening.
Hello, John.
hi. Hello, I'm here, the applicant.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, John Ogren, Hayes Engineering. we're representing the owner, Lenny Orlando, who's also on the Zoom meeting tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
So I know it's been a little while, just to refresh everyone's memory. Essentially, we were proposing to remove the existing vacuum islands that are out there and replace them with some additional vacuum stations. The last meeting that we had, which was quite a while ago, the commission had brought up some concerns or things that they asked us to take another look at. We did that. We had submitted a revised plan encompassing, I think, all the concerns that the commission had. And if I can share my screen, I will kind of go through all those changes.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I had sent along with this plan kind of a list of the revisions. Just kind of go through those. If you recall, the original proposal was for 10 vacuum stations kind of along the side.
Yeah.
The existing vacuum stations are here and here. We have reduced the number of 10 vacuum stations to 9. We moved one along the river and then also moved one over more to the rear of the property. We had discussions, there's a section near the infiltration basin that Elaine had kind of highlighted. It was a good opportunity to add some additional plantings along there. So we've added this planting detail, showing kind of a mixture of shrubs and some wildflowers, some red tree, dogwood, some common witch, hazel, and a mixture of wildflowers. So that would be between this basin and the river. Also, Lane had mentioned that there's some invasive species down in this area. We're proposing to clean up this area. There's some leaves that have been dumped there and remove the invasive vines. There's also some concern about this existing swale, which is basically lined with crushed stone, and this infiltration basin, its capacity to, whether it's still working as intended. I did go out there and look at it and review both the swale and the basin. The swale itself, there's definitely some accumulation of sediment, over the years from being adjacent to the parking lot, and we're proposing to remove the existing crushed stone in this area and replace it with clean stone. And that sediment kind of encroaches a little bit into the basin itself in this area. So we're proposing that any areas of that to be removed, that crushed stone to be removed along with the sediment, and then replaced with fresh, clean crushed stone. As far as the basin, performance-wise, I was able to, over the summer, observe it a couple of times during some of the rainstorms that we had, and it seemed to be functioning fine. The water seemed to be infiltrating in. There was one storm that it rained pretty much all day, and I went by just at the end of the day, and there was really only water in the crushed stone layer. And also investigated the crushed stone in the basin, kind of dug it up a little bit to see if there was sediment had gotten down into that crushed stone layer. And other than being right near the parking area, this area in here, it seemed to be in good shape.
Okay.
There was, I don't know if you recall, we were proposing a trash fence along the edge between the parking and the river. That was intended to collect any trash that might blow around, keep it from going down into the river itself. We had revised the location of that. And probably the other main thing is in realigning and removing one of these vacuum stations, we reduced the amount of pavement that was necessary, so we were able to remove more. So essentially, these hatched areas here, we're removing the pavement in this area here, about 250 square feet. That's going to be loam and seeded. We are adding a little bit of pavement, about 55 square feet. There's a small segment here just to kind of square this off, and then some other pavement over here to get the parking spaces. So we're netting essentially about a reduction in impervious area of about 195 square feet. I just want to point out too that it's not on the plan, but as part of these vacuum stations, each station will have its own individual basically trash can associated with it, so that, you know, hopefully people will utilize that and reduce the amount of trash that, you know, potentially could blow around and make it river. But I think that pretty much sums up the changes that we made to the plan. Answer any questions you might have.
Hey, John, this is Peter. I have a question. If you look at the, I'm looking at just the Google Maps version of the site. I don't know how to put that on, but there's at least the one that's on Google Map has a truck parked where you see where it says Arbor something hedge, the arborvitae hedge, right? You know, where right
Over
by.
here?
Nope, just go up a little bit and then to the left. Just move up, left, right there. There. If you look at the Google Maps thing, that whole thing is like kind of a gravelly area. There's an SUV parked on it. If you look at the Google Maps thing, and we had talked about, in other words, there's like a lot of area along the Mill River there that is kind of degraded. And I don't know where the property line is on, do you know where the back lot line is for the property? Is it?
The actual property line is this line here. I'm kind of tracing.
Okay, but where it says, where that word arborvitae hedge, is that on the property?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go, Bob, can you pull up the Google Maps?
Frank,
I'm
you
saying
still,
there's a really long section of here that if you look at it, it's just all gravel, and you know it was obviously were vehicles being parked there. It's not serving any real purpose, and it's right at the bank, and it's an opportunity. See where that SUV is right there. You had your thing right on it, right there. That whole area there, you can see the coloring that it's all like gravel, and it's right up against the river. And I'm just wondering whether that's an opportunity to, one, prevent a bunch of, because look, you can just tell that's where the vehicles would be parked there, right along the river. And I'm just wondering whether that is, yeah, that's a good thing. And I know didn't we talk about that?
Well, not that, where that truck is parked that's basically the infiltration basin.
right.
And that's lined with crushed stone, so, and that's intended.
Okay, so maybe I had that.
I think where it says arborvitae is a little bit to the, yeah, up in that area there, which is pretty much grass.
Okay.
And I think that area, I look back at previous filings for this, and that was one of the areas that was designated for snow storage.
Okay, and did we talk about that infiltration zone being, looked like it had been compacted and it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do? Or I just remember we had a discussion about, and obviously a lot of time has passed, and you can tell my memory's not so red hot, but I thought we had a discussion about that area, that that if it's an infiltration zone, you ought not to be parking trucks on it because it compacts it, right?
Yeah, and that was part of the reason why I went out there and I observed it, during rainstorms to see if it was still infiltrating. And it seemed to be performing the way it should. It didn't seem that had any effect at all. And like I said, I dug down through the through the crushed stone just to see if, there had been sediment or it looked like it had been compacted, and it seemed like it was all working fine. Like I said, right along the edge of the pavement where there has been some, buildup of sediment.
So are we looking into that corner right now from this angle?
Yeah, it would be behind
Yeah.
that vacuum.
Yeah, but that area looks like it's growing grass, and that should be all gravel.
No, there's a section of grass and then the infiltration basin.
Yeah, but from the aerial picture, it looked like, I don't know.
I think the overview, it's easier to see that.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Peter, I have the minutes of the meeting in May. And there was some talk about creating a buffer to the river. Mr. Romano felt there should have been 5 to 10, that the vacuum unit should be 5 to 10 feet closer to the building. Mr. Luciani asked why the pavement could not be pulled back from the river. Rebecca also had that question. And then I have here about Mr. Luciani asked if a proposed fence could be placed around the infiltration area. So maybe that's what you're remembering, Peter.
I think it was. Thank you.
So the fence would be in that upper corner where that SUV is showing? Is that,
Yeah.
was that the
That
idea?
would be on the other side of the fence. In other words, it would preclude
Right,
things parked on the infiltration area.
right.
But
I
going to
also-
the things, John, just to go over those things from the minutes, just take them one at a time. Elaine, and thank you for bringing that up. Were those, does the new plan incorporate any of the first thing? Can you just go through that laundry list one at a
Can I
time?
go through all of them? Okay, I think I sent you a copy of this stuff as well. So you might find it in your own computers and in your inbox, but I'll go through all of it. I'll go through all of it just from beginning to end. Mr. Romano asked about the need for so many additional vacuum stations. Mr. Romano noted that the original order of conditions had the line of arborvitae in the location of the proposed fence, not atop the bank. So there seemed to be a thought that the arborvitae were proposed to be closer to the building than they were actually planted. Mr. Romano felt they should have been 5 to 10 feet closer to the building. Mr. Luciani asked why the pavement could not be pulled back from the river. Mr. Ogren stated that they need to maintain the previously approved number of parking spaces. As there's no specific designation for a car wash, the parking requirement fell under retail parking requirements, which is why I guess you have a lot of parking spaces for a car wash where nobody's going to park. Mr. Romano asked why cars had been parking in the stormwater basin. He'd like to see a barrier to the swale to prevent further parking. Mr. Miller questioned the effectiveness of the basin as a result of the parking on top of it. Mr. Luciani asked if a proposed fence would prevent, access for maintenance of the storm water system. Mr. Luciani would like to see 2 vacuum stations close to the swale removed or relocated. Ms. Belmonte does not want to encourage work closer to the river. Mr. Miller felt that there should be a net improvement as well as no activity closer to the river. He was unsure if the reduction of 35 square feet of pavement was a reasonable trade-off for more intensive use closer to the river. Mr. Romano was unsure why so many parking spaces are needed. He noted that with the removal of 13 parking spaces, vacuum stations could be removed away from the river. The prospective owner stated that there are trash receptacles at each station, emptied several times a day. Trash barrels will have sealed lids. He stated a willingness to install a fence along the river. Mr. Romano expressed concern that a 4-foot fence may not be enough to prevent trash from getting into the river. The proposal will go from 2 double islands to 10, which will likely increase trash at the site. Mr. Luciani asked how the vacuum stations would be powered and if trenching would be required to the new vacuum stations. The prospective owner stated that they would tap off the existing power. There would be one continuous conduit trench. Mr. Luciani noted that the trench work would be parallel to the river. He requested submission of information concerning this work. Mr. Romano noted that the DEP comments state that it is unclear if performance standards have been met for riverfront, floodplain, and stormwater. Mr. Ogren had submitted a response letter addressing these comments regarding the floodplain. As no work will be undertaken below or within the 100-year flood elevation of elevation 57, he does not feel that this applies. Riverfront and stormwater. He contended that it's redevelopment in previously disturbed riverfront. He contended that the reduction of impervious area is an improvement, thereby meeting the standard. Ms. Belmonte asked if anything changes regarding stormwater standards with this proposal. Mr. Luciani expressed concern with the proposed vacuum stations closest to the river. Ms. Belmonte asked if the pavement in the area adjacent to the vacuums to be removed would also be taken out. The prospective owner suggested relocating the 2 parking spaces in question further from the river. A fence could then be installed that would also block access to parking in the swale. The commission concurred with this suggestion. Ms. Freeland noted she had spoken with Libby Wallace, botanist with Hayes Engineering, regarding addition of native plantings along the river. Mr. Luciani expressed concern with the viability of plantings along the river as there is a sharp drop-off. Ms. Vreeland will request that Ms. Wallace submit a landscaping plan. The prospective owner requested permission to replace the existing fence with new stock for continuity. The commission agreed. That's the end of the notes for May 13th, 2021.
Thank you very much. That was extremely helpful. That was an extremely helpful review of where we left off, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, what was the date? When was that, Elaine?
May 13th, 2021.
Okay.
And I have a question. I have a question about the number of parking spaces. And what caught my eye was the fact that there's no specific zoning for car washes. So it was put into the category of retail. And I'm wondering, there's a note here. Ms. Belmonte requested specifics regarding special permit requirements surrounding the number of parking spaces. So it seems to me there's a lot of parking spaces that's not needed because of a designation that doesn't apply. And I'm wondering if it would be possible with Conservation Commission support to get the number of parking spaces reduced and pull everything back from the river. And Rebecca had some concerns about proximity to the river as well. And I won't get into them now, but I just had that question about these parking spaces that are not needed and for a designation that doesn't apply.
That's a great idea.
So that would be a ZBA request.
I guess it's, who does the special permit? Is that ZBA?
It would be zoning relief, right? would
Yeah, it
be-
would go to the zoning board.
Okay, so I guess the question is whether or not the Conservation Commission would be willing to support a letter asking that this designation could be modified to pull back to a more realistic number of parking spaces for this business use.
Yeah,
So I guess before we would get into that, I would say, are all those spots there because they were required or because they were requested?
Did the building commissioner ask for these? Do you think?
Right, or did the prior owner
And say the
want
building.
those for other
Right.
purposes?
Can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
Based on the retail service use, and there's also some office space on the second floor. Now, the required number of parking spaces would be 22. We had got it reduced down to 14. As we're showing the current plan, we're reducing it down further to 13 parking spaces. So there already has been, we've already gotten relief for the parking requirements pretty substantially.
And
Okay.
how many
Define-
spaces do you need for the office space, John?
What's that?
How many spaces do you need for you said there's office space?
The office space, there's a total of 4 spaces required for that.
So
18 spaces required for the retail service use.
John, they wouldn't consider the vacuum stations a parking space, huh?
That I don't know.
I mean, they look like parking spaces.
In this configuration, they look a lot more than the previous vacuum stations. I would agree with that. I wanted to, if I could go over and, kind of explain some of the comments that were mentioned from the previous meeting. If I can share my screen again and show the previously submitted plan. So this was the plan that was originally submitted as part of the notice of intent. And I think the areas that we were talking about pavement and removing, before we had these vacuum spaces out here and we were actually adding some pavement in this area, we've made revisions so that we're no longer adding any pavement in that area near the river. We've really reduced it down to a very small area where we're just kind of squaring off this area in here. It would be just a small area here of pavement that we're adding near the river. So that's where we're getting a lot of our, before, I don't remember what the actual number was. I think we were only reducing the pavement by around 30 square feet. Now we're reducing the amount of pavement by 195 square feet. So it's pretty substantial. And then the comment, we did address the comment in terms of accessing, there was talk of putting the fence across here, but then there was issue about trying to get into it. If you had to do some maintenance in the infiltration basin. So we did move one of the vacuum stations over here so that now you have these, basically the vacuum stations kind of blocking access to, if someone was going to go and try to park there. So I think that kind of reduces the ability to utilize that space to store vehicles or park vehicles there. Yeah, I think that pretty much. So I feel like we did address the comments that were made, from that standpoint at the previous hearing.
And John, I do see a no proposed 4-foot high black chain link trash fence. Is that new?
Well, we did before the fence came down and kind of stopped here. In the previous proposal, we took the fence. God, we did take this fence and extended it all the way down around the back of the infiltration station. We did add a gate here.
Okay,
If, they needed to get in here and work on the area that were proposed plantings. We would have some access to that.
and that fence runs all the way up to the Water Street end.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that goes right up to basically to the sidewalk.
Okay. And where are the additional plantings proposed?
The plantings are proposed in this area and here along the river,
Okay.
kind of between the infiltration basin and the river itself. This is just a blown up detail of that area, showing the number of shrubs and the area for the wildflowers.
Yeah, I think,
So we're
think that's-
proposing a total of 15, basically 15 shrubs, and then the wildflowers.
and I think you're gonna replace that pipe too, wasn't it broken?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Can I go back to asking about fewer parking spaces and moving the vacuum stations again? Again, John, you said the building commissioner allowed you, or did you get zoning relief to get the reduction in the parking spaces?
No, as part of our special permit, we requested a reduction in the number of parking spaces.
Okay. I'm assuming you don't want to go back to ask for for them to be further reduced, because I mean, again, I think we had real concerns for these vacuum stations to be so close to the river when you with 200 feet of the river, and I don't know.
Well, I think, in terms of the way the property flows, I mean, people come in here, they enter into the wash bays from the rear here. If you have people vacuuming here and then you get, people queuing for the wash bays, I think you would start to have some conflict. The idea was to keep the parking kind of separate so that people could come in, vacuum their cars, and then there would be plenty of room for queuing, in the back here for the actual wash bays.
That is correct.
you don't want to move the vacuum station. I mean, that's fine.
I'm sorry?
I said, so you don't really want to move the vacuum stations.
Not that I don't want to move them. Hi, this is Lenny. The site functions much better with them along the side there than in the back, as John indicated. It would definitely hurt the stacking and the queuing if they were along the back. It would hurt the site operation. Over there, they're out of the way. They're on an angle. People can pull in, back out, and then go around and wash their car. They can vacuum first, then wash their car. We're going to put a trash barrel at each station that's attached to the unit. They come that way with lids and with covers. And we will empty them, throughout the day. And we were going to add the trash fence where there's none there now, from Water Street all the way, as John indicated. I'm willing to do the trash fence. And I don't know which gentleman on the board or the commission mentioned about the 4 feet. If you want 6 feet, I'd be happy to do 6 feet. If you don't think 4 is high enough, it's not a problem. But it's worked well for me at another site up in Haverhill. I'm right up against the river up there, and it's worked well, the trash fence. It's a question of maintaining flow on the site.
Yeah, I understand how that would be great if you weren't right next to a river. But you are.
Well, I'm trying to minimize any impact that I can and minimize any issue with the river. Again, right now, there's no barrier or trash fence to stop the trash from going in. In October, I went down in there myself with 2 of my employees, and we cleaned the whole river ourselves, the embankment. We pulled out about 12 to 15 bags of trash. I told John that. Tires and everything. The fence would certainly prevent that from occurring, and we would just pick the fence if any trash is along the fence. There was years of debris along the river bed that we took out.
Yeah, I think a 6-foot fence would certainly be a better idea, prevent people from throwing larger things over.
I have no problem with that.
Leonard, how did you
Yes,
come up
ma'am.
with the number of 10 vacuum stations? How did that get determined?
I sat with Mr. Ogren and asked to do a conceptual plan of how we could put these stations on the site.
Yeah.
And he needed to know the sizes of the stations, so I provided him that information from the distributor that you buy them from. And then he was able to scale it on the plan. And he said 10 would fit comfortably. And then our last meeting, there was an issue like down in the corner there. I agreed to remove 1 out and make it down to 9 and reposition 1. So we omitted 1 and repositioned 1. So it reduced the amount of spaces, vacuums along the riverside, because we took 1 out completely, and then we added it down in the corner there where John was identifying.
Okay. Do you really anticipate that you'd have 10 bays at one time being utilized?
10 vacuum stations, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just wondering. It's the intensity of all the work that you want to do in this area. I think that's got everyone a little bit worried.
I apologize. I'm not trying to, do anything that's wrong. Like I said, I'm willing to do what it takes to protect that area and protect any impact. And the vacuums extend out, so they're not right along the river, ma'am.
Yeah.
They'll be positioned on a concrete pad, and then the arch goes up and over the vacuum space.
Yeah. Right.
And then you'd be able to reach and vacuum. So it pushes the vacuum itself further away from the river. And then each station would have a trash barrel with a lid. And then you'd have the trash fence along behind the vacuum cleaner. If any trash was to go on the ground and blow, trash fence would catch that. And my guys would be there picking the fence constantly. We would maintain the site. We'll make a great effort to do that. I'm the new owner. And I think that Google Earth picture too was from before I owned it. We're not parking in that area, just to let
Yeah.
you know. It's an old picture from way back. It has nothing to
Right.
do with me.
But I mean, the site was operating with two, actually, I don't know if you'd call it, two vacuum stations that had two vacuums on each location. And now you're going to 10 individual units. I
But-
wonder just,
Kim, it's 9.
or
No,
nine.
it's yeah, and
I'm only wondering-
there's four existing vacuums at the moment.
Yeah. So I mean, you're changing something from a lower intensity of use to a higher intensity of use. I'm just wondering, I mean, I've seen a lot of these stations. I've never seen that many vacuums at one time.
My competitors in town have quite a few vacuums, and around, if you go to other car washes, some of them are as high as 25 and 30 stations. I
Yeah.
obviously can't fit that on this site,
Right.
nor am I asking, but I am trying to minimize any impact along the river and by reducing the pavement, adding the plantings, putting the trash fence in,
Yeah.
getting the optional trash barrels attached to each unit. So I'm doing, we're doing everything we can to protect that area, and I think will be pretty well protected. There's the Abavite line there too as well. We're maintaining that.
Mhm.
Just had it sprayed. So
Yeah, how is the grading in that area? Is it, John, is it graded to go towards the river? Any runoff from the site, is it graded to go towards the river? Where is it going?
Well, a portion of it is graded, goes out towards Water Street, and then the other portion heads back toward the
Yeah,
rear
but
of the property.
on the side where all the vacuum stations are, is from the building to the vacuum station, is that graded to head for the river?
No, it's either heading towards the rear of the property or to the front.
Okay,
And once you get off the paved areas, yeah, obviously it does.
yeah, right, okay, all right. All right,
I don't believe we'd be changing any grading there and pitching anything towards the river. John, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we're changing grades. I never discussed that with you or anyone.
No, we don't have any, we're not proposing any grade
yeah.
changes.
You just got the trench that you need to put the utilities in.
That is
Yeah.
correct. That is correct.
Okay.
And I have no problem doing a 6-foot trash fence chain link. And if you'd like it decorative, I have no problem putting in a colored one. They come black in color, the black chain link, so it blends in. It looks a little nicer. Whatever the commission, feels would be
Yeah.
decorative. I have no problem doing that rather than just a regular metal fence. I'd rather something decorative.
Right. Just remind me, John, do the manholes that you have, do they have grease traps in them or anything? The one that's out there?
The manhole,
Yeah.
I mean, out in the front of the property,
No, and isn't there one on the side here?
this,
Yeah, is that a manhole? Catch basin?
that's, I believe that's part of the sewer.
It's the sewer?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a gas trap.
Oh, what's the M stand for?
These are all, this is all the sewer,
Oh,
a sewer that runs through the property. There's an easement actually that runs through here.
so where are you picking up the runoff, or is it just sheet flow?
It all sheet flows back to the swale along the rear.
All right,
To answer your question, ma'am, a little more in detail, there are several grease traps on the property that we clean and maintain for the car wash.
where would they be?
They're located in the front of the car wash facing Water Street. Right up when you exit the car wash, there's traps right there and inside the bays themselves. And we hire a company to come in, professional company to clean out any debris that's in those traps.
Yeah, I think out in front, there's a trench drain at
Correct.
entrances, and then there's a set of, there's a
Correct.
basin out front here, and that goes into basically the leaching tank
Mhm.
surface.
There's several traps on the property, more than I've ever experienced in the past. There's a lot of traps that we have to clean and maintain.
So what are you saying is the reduction, in the final outcome, what is the reduction in paved area?
The total reduction in paved area is 195 square feet.
Okay,
You know, the majority, we're removing 250 over, you know, near the river.
yeah,
And then we're adding 55 square feet. The majority of that is this, to be able to shift everything over and get this vacuum in, we have to
Yeah.
have a small piece of pavement here.
the dumpster will still fit on that concrete pad?
Yes.
Dumpster is blocked in with a wall as well. It's on a
Yeah.
pad with a wall, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Just to add, our dumpster, when I took over the location, I don't know if this means anything to the commission, but the dumpster that was there was old and beat up, and it didn't, the lids weren't working on it. So I replaced the rubbish company with JRM, and I had them bring in a brand new brand new dumpster with workable lids. And we locked the lids, and they stayed locked so nobody can come in and dump in there overnight. And more importantly, that the trash doesn't blow all over the site. So we locked the lids. It has a brand new dumpster there on site.
Okay,
And we increased the frequency of the pickup. It was only once a month. We now are doing it once a week.
anyone else have comments?
Yeah, I guess the question for us is this an improvement over existing conditions?
Yeah,
I think that's right when you net it against the, you know, obviously more intensive use of this strip of property. I mean, there's 195 feet of, John, you pointed out 195 feet of less pavement. 190, that's 20 by 10. That's like one parking space. But against that is that this contemplates much heavier use of the, you know, more intensive use of the property adjacent to the river. So I mean, you kind of got it's sort of a consideration is running in both directions, and it's hard to say whether the net improvement is anything to write home to mom about.
Was there a fence there before?
No, ma'am,
Yeah.
there's no trash
There's no
fence.
fence. Right, okay.
Okay, that's improvement.
That's
Right, and now
improvement.
the swale area is gated off in the bottom of the lot,
Right.
and plantings have been added.
And I'm also adding trash cans, which aren't there now either. We're adding one trash can at every station, which is not there now.
That's an improvement.
How are those trash bins? Are they freestanding? Are they locked in place or?
Yes, ma'am. How it works is if this gets approved, I would order the vacuums with the optional trash cans attachment. And what happens, it gets attached right to the vacuum station, so it can't blow around, it can't move. It's bolted to the stanchion, to the metal framing. And it has a lid, and they're lockable lids. And they would be one at every station in front of the vacuum. So as a customer vacuums out their car, they'd be able to throw the debris into the trash can. And to answer your question, there is no existing fence there now protecting the river. There's nothing.
Are there any other questions or concerns from the commission?
Rebecca had one concern. Just bring it up now. she had sent around some photographs that she referred to as the Google timeline. And in it, there was aerial photographs showing water coming out of the building that was draining into the swale instead of, I guess, being infiltrated down to the ground. And my question is, I know you don't have the photos in front of you, but if there's a line of water coming out the back, is that the water? As I looked at these pictures, it looked to me like it might be the water dripping off the cars that are then coming out into the parking lot. Is all your water from the car wash draining into an infiltration structure underneath the building?
Yes, ma'am. There's the cars line up and then pull into the bay. The
Yep.
wash doesn't begin until they're inside the bay. Like today, for instance, it's cold out, so you have the doors closed. So there is no water coming out with the doors down. That prevents that. And there is drainage. There are drains inside each wash bay that the water goes down. There's a little leak out here and there, I'm sure. And it's not perfect seal, but it does contain the majority of the water inside the bay, yes.
Okay, so this water that appears in the aerial photographs from the parking lot, would that be drips that just have not dried from the cars?
Well, the cars exit going out facing Water Street. And as Mr. Ogren indicated, there are several drains positioned at the exits of every bay. So the water dripping off the cars goes into those drains that are existing along there's one along where he's showing now. There's also one at the entrance, one at the exit, and also at the exit of every wash bay. There is drainage positioned there. So there's no water on the back side. It's the front side when they pull out. And there's drainage that capture that.
Because the aerial photographs definitely show a lot of water coming out the back and then going into the swale in the back of the parking lot.
Was it a rainy day? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen the pictures.
No, it's dry and you can definitely see the streak of water.
Yeah, Elaine, I'm looking at the same pictures.
Oh, you have the pictures?
Well, I'm looking
Okay.
at it from the email on my phone, but I see what you're talking about. It's on the, I guess the end of the building towards the dumpster pad.
Yeah,
Okay.
and out towards
Yeah, the water is
the
flowing.
baseball.
I
back.
don't know what took place that day. If somebody if we power washed the building, how old the photo is. I know when we bought it, we washed the building. We, made some improvements. I don't know if it's, part of that. I don't know what day it was. Was it before I owned it? I have no idea.
Yeah, Elaine, you can see the wetness as cars exit the front of the building heading to the street. You can see the pavement, the darkness there. So, a little bit of dripping off after they've, been washed. That is interesting. I don't know what that is either.
Well, that would be the case on the, the ones closer to the river, those bays are self-serve. So there's not a vacuum cleaner, so they are going to be wet when they drive out.
But they're driving out to Water Street. There's no
Right,
water
but-
coming out those self-service bays. There's nothing coming out.
No, and there's drains, and not to interrupt, but there's drains in the front of the self-serve bays closest to the river. Those
Right.
bays have traps as you pull out, built into the concrete pad, which capture the water. They actually go across the entire front of the building facing Water Street for when cars exit the building. Those were existing. And there's one at the entrance and exit as well.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, Elaine. In fact, we can't tell which direction it's flowing. I don't know if it's coming from the building towards the back or going the opposite direction or what.
Oh, interesting. Oh, you think it might be coming out of the swale and headed towards the building?
Yeah, or it's coming off a vehicle that's parked there. That may have been
Okay.
power washed
All
or
right.
something. Can't
You
tell.
know, the other thing is, as I look at it, is that it's either headed into the building where it gets infiltrated, or it's headed out of the building where it hits the swale.
Right.
It's a good distance away from the river. This was
It
dated
is.
2017. The one that shows it the most. Seems to be
What
a
was,
chronic thing.
what was the date, ma'am? I didn't hear, it broke up.
I'm looking at, she's got 2015, 16, and 17. And it seems to be kind of it shows up in every photograph in every year. It's always there.
So the bay closest to the, I guess the right end of the building, is that the automated car wash?
Yes.
So the water, that's where it seems to be coming out of. So it might be the spray or whatever's happening with the automated system in there might be spraying some water out towards the back.
Okay,
That must be what's happening. Like it's in the last photo, I can see it heading towards the swale and then migrating towards the back corner a bit. Yeah, the very
Okay.
last picture is probably the one to look at. It must be what's happening. It's the automated wash.
all right. I'll let Rebecca know.
It'd probably be easily observed, watching a car go through and see. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like something coming out of the automated bay.
Yeah, it looks like it's just that one bay.
So maybe we can see what's happening there. Is there something that needs to be adjusted or maybe it already has been?
As far as I can recall, I don't recall anything coming out of the bays as far as in a way of water. When the doors are down, it's all captured inside the bay. And then there's drainage in the middle of the floor, which takes it out.
So do the
The door-
doors close as a car enters, the door closes?
Yes, what happens is when you approach it, the door is closed, like today. You would put your money in the auto teller, and then once the transaction is completed in the auto teller, the door will open. You'll pull into the bay, and the wash doesn't start until the door is closed. So you pull in, you have to park your car, put it in park. Then once you're parked, the door will close behind you. The door in front of you stays closed. So both doors are closed. The wash is completed. Then when the wash is completed, it sends a signal. Then the exit door opens and the car pulls out towards Water Street, and that's where those drains are as you're exiting. that we
Okay.
were discussing.
All right, so maybe there's a seal issue on the bottom of the back door that needs to be
I'll be-
looked at.
I'll be happy to check it and replace
Okay.
the weather stripping on the door. It's not a super big expense, and it probably needs it anyway.
Yeah, that's probably what's happening.
Hey, John, I have one more question for you, and I'm going back to what I was talking about as far as the drainage around the building and between the vacuum stations and the building. So which way, again, is the water flowing? I know it's flowing towards Water Street, but does it, what I'm trying to do is that if you could capture that water and get it down to your catch basins, that would be an improvement. I think as far as stormwater goes. So I didn't know if you put a berm across here or of asphalt berm or a concrete or a granite berm that would allow you to direct the water back out towards the front where you said the catch basins are. And I mean, I would at least consider that an improvement.
Jim, where are you talking about specifically?
Yes, please reiterate that. I'm lost.
Where, so you got the end of the building, and then you've got the space where the vacuum
Back-
stations are, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That area, how does the water flow? Does it flow out over to the bank of the river, or does it flow out to the front towards Water Street?
Yeah, I see a 60-foot contour.
It's pretty flat.
My point is this, John, is that you're making this area more intense use. You're going from 4 stations to 10 or 9. So if you could capture the water and run it, so gravity will take it out towards one of these other chambers, that to me is an improvement over existing conditions.
As the landowner, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a great suggestion, and I have no problem putting a berm along behind the vacuum stations there, whether asphalt or granite, whichever you prefer, to capture the water and send it where it needs to go. I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you probably would only need something like a Cape Cod berm.
That's fine, whatever's needed.
Well, I mean, that's my only thought, to try to make this work.
Thank you. I appreciate the suggestion.
Do we want to look at this again, anyone, or?
I have one last question, if you don't mind, 2 actually. Wildflowers. Wildflowers, they always look nice in the beginning, but it's my experience that after a couple of years, they just die out. Is there a way to replace the location where the wildflowers are with more perennials?
Is that down in the bottom corner where the planting detail is, Elaine?
Yeah, it would be.
John, can you zoom back to that?
Yep.
Please. I have a stupid question. I don't mean to interrupt, but perennial, you're meaning a plant that flowers that seasonally. So every season, one for spring, summer, winter, and fall, it would always have a flower. Is that what we're talking about?
No, that's not what a perennial is. A perennial is a plant that you don't have, that doesn't reseed itself. The trouble with wildflowers is you plant them, they grow for the season, they produce seeds, and if you're lucky, those seeds fall to the ground, and then it is this next season that grows out of the seeds. And it's been my experience with wildflowers, they look great for the first couple of years, but if you plant a perennial is more like a small shrub, and it doesn't reseed itself. It's
Okay.
just like a shrub, it just keeps going.
I'm okay with that. I just didn't understand what it was. That's all. I apologize. Lack of knowledge on that.
I think in 10 years, you'll have more plants than if you seed with wildflowers.
Probably look better too.
Okay, so could we get, John, could you get a slight revision of that plan to just include more of the witch hazel and what else did you have? Red twig dogwood? Just
Yes.
more of what you already have in the wildflower spot.
Yep,
Okay.
no problem.
And
Not a
John,
problem.
could you give me, I just want to make sure, as if I'm going to be typing this up, what's the date on that plan?
The date on what?
The plan you've got on screen. I can't see it. I can't get to the corners. Can you give me the date of that plan so I can reference it in the order?
Can't get to the corner either.
Mine says May 21st. I don't mean to interrupt or answer.
Yeah, May 21st.
Right.
21.
I have one printed here on my counter so I can see the whole thing. And the printed version says revised May 21st, 2021.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I would like to see that fence up to 6 feet.
I have no problem with that.
Might I suggest that once you get past the vacuum stations, you reduce it back down to the 4 feet.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
Just don't want to interfere with any kind of sight distance or anything.
Yeah, no, I think that's okay. The idea is to just capture and trap as much trash possible behind the vacuum stations, prevent it from getting over there. And I think that'll work to do that.
Would I be allowed or permitted to use black, the vinyl chain link so it looks aesthetically
Yeah.
pleasing? Or would you
Sure.
prefer something else?
No, I think that's fine. If anybody else has a different opinion.
I think that sounds good.
Thank you. I thought it looked better than the plain standard metal fence that rusts and deteriorates over time, that gets rusted. I'd prefer to spend
Yeah.
more money at once and put the vinyl in, the black vinyl, and it
Yeah.
always looks nice all the time.
It does, and it really, it's funny how the black blends in nicely.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
almost looks invisible.
The metal gets rusted. I had one at another property. I took it out. It gets all rusty over time and years. It looks horrible. And I really don't want to get started on that. But I like to do things correctly. The first time.
Any other questions from the commission? Or concerns? Are there any questions or concerns from the public?
Are we gonna do a site walk here or anything? Anyone interested in that? Or,
I was actually there 2 weeks ago, looking around.
okay. Well, I'll probably go out myself, take a look.
Is there anything we're looking for? Do we need a revised plan?
I don't know, Johnny, you interested in investigating putting a berm across there? And I don't know what anyone else thinks of the idea either, but I think it's a good idea.
I think
I was
it's
just gonna
Right.
ask that question. Where do we stand on the berm? I don't have a problem doing it.
Hmm.
It would certainly give just another layer of protection.
I agree, and I'm okay with it if the commission wants it, because I agree it would stop water from flowing in that direction.
We wouldn't want it to be pooling there either and freezing up. So John would have to be careful with his grades.
I agree.
Okay, let's move along here. What are we
All
gonna
right, so do
do?
we need a new plan showing a berm, the 6-foot fence, change in the planting plan? And was there anything else?
Guess not.
I have the Cape Cod berm, the 4 to 6 inch fence of black vinyl, perennials in place of wildflowers.
Ma'am, that's a mistake. You said 4 to 6 inch fence. It's is a six
Feet. I
foot
meant to say
to 4
feet.
feet. Yes.
Say feet.
And we also discussed changing the wildflowers out to a perennial.
Right, the perennials. I got that. Yep.
Excuse me.
That's you.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Do we want a new plan submitted before we close? Do we want to close?
Well, we should see the plan before we close, I
Yeah.
would think, and then
Yeah.
just to make sure we agree with it.
Okay. John, you could get us a new plan before the next meeting, right?
Yeah. These are pretty straightforward changes.
Again, with that berm though, we do want to make sure that we don't end up with pooling and freezing, you know, around those stations.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the actual, it doesn't show on the plan, but we do have spot grades along that pavement.
Okay. All right, so we'll have a plan for the next meeting, which is 27th. All right, anything else from anybody for John or the applicant? All right, if not, we'll talk to you on the 27th.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you working with us.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
All right.
Have a good
You
night.
too.
All right, I think we've covered all the old and new business, at least what I can see. Elaine, do you have anything else?
No,
Judy, do you have anything else?
Bruins are winning 3-2 and Pasternak had a hat trick.
Wow, excellent.
And we should care about that, Judy?
Yes,
We do.
yes, you should.
Yes, we should. We're on a,
He's on
we're on
the
a,
sec- on the
we're on a
second
roll
line,
right now.
Judy. Judy, is he on the second line now, Pasternak?
Yeah,
Yes,
That
where it
second,
belongs.
that second line is red hot.
And Tuukka
Yes, it
Rask
is.
is back in net.
yes, to get the back. Yep.
Thank
He's
you,
on fire.
everybody.
Thank
This is
you.
the
Night.
applicant. I'm signing off. Did you need me for anything else?
No, we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I just make a request? Just following up to something that Jim said, that, oh, not you, Mr. Lando, you're fine. That Rebecca, instead of sending us, some of us who are old school like physical copies of the notices of intent. And so I know Rebecca sent the links on the website, but I would appreciate it, since the applicant submits hard copies, that somehow we're able to get them. That's all.
Mhm. And I gotta
I'll
say,
talk-
go
I
ahead.
don't think the applicants are submitting hard copies anymore, and certainly
They-
not 7 of them.
They're submitting 2 because when they get more than 2, they sit. They don't get picked up. So it's a waste of paper. And your conservation, you should worry about that.
Well, I've got to say that that I have not, that link that you had, the link that you sent, I was not familiar with that link that lists all of the open projects and has links to
It-
every one of the plans.
It's been talked about repeatedly, just
I know.
FYI.
Well, I have it bookmarked, and that makes a big difference now that I can find, I can find any project that's open on the website. And I can find the plans for it. So I find that to be very helpful. So I'm glad that I found that.
Well, I want a paper copy of the proposal.
You and Teresa get
Just
the paper.
request that, request it when they do it, because I'm gonna be looking for it.
You can have a paper copy. The town hall is open.
But just leave it at the town hall, then I'll go pick it up there.
Just call Uber Eats. Maybe they can swing by and pick it up on the way.
So Elaine, you're gonna circulate all that stuff for the lawsuit, right? That's,
Yeah,
All right.
I'm going to send, I'm going to leave off here. Let me go back. I'm going to drop off at Jim's
okay.
the information from 14 Sunset, the signature for the extension permit for 0 Greenwood Street, and the order of conditions for Camp Curtis Guild.
Mhm.
Can we sign those on Sunday for the sidewalk?
Ah,
Good thing.
Yeah.
Or are they needed
Jim,
earlier
put
than
them in
that?
your truck, Jim.
Okay, and the other thing with 14 Sunset, well, actually, do you want paper copies of 14 Sunset, or you want me to just scan and send it to you?
Those you could scan, those have no plans, those are just documents, so if you could scan those, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll send them via scan, and the other ones that require your signature, I'll drop them off at Jim's house tomorrow.
And we'll sign on Sunday, yep.
Okay,
Have we been sued before?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been sued before.
Won't be the last time.
Yeah.
Convicted? No.
Mm.
All right, anything else? All right, so those who can make it, there's a site walk at 8:30 on Sunday morning on 2 Clyde Court, followed by a 9 o'clock at 66 Butler. And if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to close the commission's meeting for the night.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Savannah,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Okay, I also vote yes. Good night, everybody.